I always like to ask myself this as somebody who is so ambitious and career driven is, what would I do if money was not an issue? If I won the lottery, would I still be practicing dentistry? Hello everyone, I can't believe it's almost 2024. Today I'm going to talk about how I reflect on the year that's passed and how I set goals for the coming year. So goal setting is something that I do every year with Byron. It's usually a more abridged version because I don't think that he enjoys it quite as much as me. I do my own longer version, like I actually sit down and make a vision board and everything. And I feel like if you guys are watching this video, you probably are into the longer version. So let's do it together this year. It's actually my first year doing it with anyone at all. So I'm really excited. All right, I think the most important place to start this process is by figuring out what are your top priorities. So I usually will write down 3 of my top priorities. Number 1 is of course Preston. Number 2, I think I would say is my career. And number 3 is I'm feeling a little bit like selfish this year. I feel like self-development is my 3rd top priority. And now there are other priorities that you can have in life, right? Like there are other priorities, like Byron is still a priority, my finances are still a priority, other things are still a priority. But in order for you to have clarity over what you want in the following year, you have to nail these 3 down. I think for a lot of people, their own health is top priority, like mental health could also be one. Your marriage could be one, or if you're single, then like your family or your friendships, prioritizing those types of things. So you have to be able to at least say the top 3 for this process to work. So the first thing I think about is, what is the word that best describes 2023 for me? Blossoming, that is a word that I think of off the top of my head. If I were to tell you what the word was that I put on my vision board, it's actually billionaire. Now, if you know me, that's actually really funny because I'm not driven by money at all. Like nothing I do is actually for money. I'm more driven by accomplishments and experiences. Like for example, when I was a new practice owner, I left the practice half the week to go teach at USC, and that wasn't a money-making venture. So it's really funny for me to be at this point now where I'm like, okay, this is the year that I'm actually going to make money. I also have a content creation business, a social media business, and that one, I was kind of at a, like not sure if I would be able to generate money doing this sort of side gig. And this year proved to me that yes, I can make money if I put my mind to it. And one of the other things I struggled with in the past with making money is this concept of having to sell myself and my services, and I was just like never really comfortable with it. I think it was because of my upbringing, but ever since I became a business owner, I've been challenging myself to be better about not feeling like, not having such a negative association with the term selling. I think that selling is an important part of being a business owner, and so being able to now embrace being able to make money and sell my services in a humbling and tactful way is a really big milestone for me. My dad told me about this dream, so I'll share it with you guys, but my dad told me that in his dream, I was like, hey dad, and I was like, jogging in place, like, watch me run, and he was like, okay, and then I just ran super fast, and he was like, wow. And my dad doesn't really dream, but he shared that dream with me because he was like, I think that you're gonna have a really good year. So that was a little bit motivating. I don't know if it's completely illogical, but those sorts of things do make me think a little bit about like, okay, maybe this is my year. The other thing that happened is my mom had a dream, and it was kind of in alignment, but it was a little bit more sad. She had the dream before I had my stillbirth last year. And in her dream, I was standing by like a river or a pond, and I was holding something that was very precious to me, and I threw it into the river, and I was crying. And as soon as it hit the water, I became adorned in jewels My mom and dad are very religious, so they don't like put a lot of emphasis on dreams, but I guess it is just like a conversation type of thing. And my mom was like, I think that you lost the baby, and like in some way it was like a trade-off to become wealthy. And like, I don't know if I'm twisting her words or whatnot. You know, in Korean, it's a little bit different. It's not as superficial as it sounds. I remember crying because I had just kind of lost the baby, and I was like, I would rather not make any money. I want that baby back. And so like, it makes me choke up even thinking about it still. But I started the year kind of like feeling reassured in a way that it was going to be a good year for me, because I had such a hard year before. Yeah, I think that's another reason why billionaire was on my vision board last year. Okay, so long story short, the question that I asked myself at the beginning of the year is, what made me feel accomplished this year? And for me, I think it was definitely being able to hit some of my financial goals, like goals that I actually wrote down, numbers that I wrote down. I was able to hit that and prove to myself that yes, I can do these things. The next question I asked myself is, what amplified my energy this year? And I think for me, it's weirdly chaos and doing things was what was amplifying my energy. It's like the more that I was going, the more I would go. And it was almost like a high, you know, just accomplishing things and ticking things off the box and watching things grow and do, you know, like it's just very much a thing. But the next question I asked myself is, what drained my energy this year? And weirdly enough, the same things that amplified my energy this year were the things that drained my energy. So chaos and doing things all the time was what actually drained my energy as well. Now, I know that doesn't really make that much sense, but the way that I logic it out is, I'm reading this potty training book right now, and they said something like, kids need 12 hours of sleep, and sometimes they get really hyper around bedtime. And so you think, oh, well, they have so much energy, maybe we should just keep them up because they're like hitting a wind, and they really, really have a lot of energy to run out and play around with. But it's actually a little counterintuitive, because when they hit that wind of energy, it actually means that they're overtired. And so you have to put them to bed even before they hit the overtired phase. And I think that's what's happening to me, is that I was just so much go, go, go this year that I, became overtired, and like I'm literally almost just a zombie, working hard, being a mom, running my other business, and I just need to, I think, take a breather for the next year. But anyways, we'll talk about what's going to happen in 2024 and my intentions for 2024 a little bit later. One of the next questions I ask myself is, what was a big lesson that I learned in 2023? And I seem to learn a big lesson every year. I think for this year, it was that it's okay for me to leave money on the table. And what I mean by that is, this is the year where I started to prioritize Preston over my career. Obviously, before I had Preston, my career was number one. Now Preston is number one, and shifting those priorities doesn't just happen overnight. It's like a work in progress where I have to determine what it is that I need to do to feel a bit more fulfilled in my journey as a mom. And that usually does take away from time I would spend in my business, or like my dental business, for example. And so this is the year where, like, if Preston had something at school, I started blocking all that time off of my work schedule. But for me, because he's my number one priority, and this goes back to setting those priorities, he's my number one priority, so I need to work my work schedule around him. And that's not to say that every single day it's him. Obviously he goes to daycare, but some of these things I do want to show up for. But I think one of my fears going into doing things like that was that I was extremely compromising my business and our earning potential by not being there as much. And I felt the same way when I went on maternity leave with Preston. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if we can survive this. I just was thinking like, oh my God, 2 months of, no revenue for the business. That's so bad. And then like, if you really think about 2 months of maternity leave is nothing, right? So I am starting to sort of retrain my mind, and by doing these small things where I'm like taking away from the drill business and putting into things that are really important to me, I am slowly realizing that the drill biz is going to be just fine. And in an indirect way, I'm slowly learning that fulfillment doesn't come from production, and it is okay to leave money on the table for prioritizing the things that are really, really important to you. And that's not a lesson that comes easily to me, because I think I sacrificed everything my entire life for my career, and to be now rearranging my entire work schedule for this child who doesn't even appreciate it really, it's just a very different me, but I'm loving it. It's actually, I think the happiest people leave money on the table for the things that are most important to them. But let's go next into what we desire out of 2024. So when I think about 2024, I feel like this is more verbal vision boarding. I do like to physically sit down and make a vision board because I am such a visual person. But what I find is if I make the vision board before I do this verbal vision boarding, then I'll end up with a board with like all these aesthetic photos. Like for example, I'll be naturally attracted to a fit Pilates girl because that's just who I am, and that was a big part of my life at some point. But it's actually not one of my top priorities this year. So if I keep putting pictures like that on my vision board, it doesn't align with what I really want for the next year. So that's why I do it this way. All right, so when I start thinking about the new year, I again think of the word that I want to associate with this year. And the word that I think of when I think of 2024 is limitless. I'm just really excited to see what happens next year because I feel like I laid so much of the groundwork in the previous years where I didn't really see much of a return until maybe last year. And then now we are full swing going into the following year, and there's already so many opportunities going into that year that I feel really, really grateful for that. All right, the next question that I ask myself is, what do I want to bring into this year? One of my other goals is to actually work less and make more. I know that's easier said than done, but it kind of goes with my first goal where I am taking away some time from the drill business to give to Preston at times. I don't want it to feel like it's a sacrifice. I do think that there is some way where I can systematize both my content creation business and my drill business so that it's not a sacrifice on any end. It's just that overall I'm working less so that I have more time to give to other things. That I think would be amazing. And also the cherry on top is if I could systematize it so I'm working less but making more. That's always the goal, right? So I think I'm in that phase where I'm really, really going to try and figure that out for the sake of, Preston, but also for me. I do need a little breathing room this year. I think the last thing I want to bring into this year, my mind starts thinking content. Personally, I am really burnt out on short form content. I feel like it's like so snappy and good, but like my attention span has just whittled down to nothing. And personally, I crave more one-on-one interaction and deeper connections. And so deeper connections are something that I want to strive for this year. And sometimes I look back at those early years when I just had Instagram, and that's when I made a vast majority of my friends on Instagram because I was a smaller creator and there wasn't so much to do. And then as I've grown and as the platforms have shifted to more short form content instead of like written content with photos, then I feel like a lot of the depth has been diluted with things that will just help you grow with reach. And this coming year, I was really reflecting. I was like, I don't need more followers. Like, I have enough followers on both TikTok, Instagram, and on YouTube. I don't need more. I want a deeper connection with the people that already are connected to me. And I don't know how exactly I'll do that, but I have a inkling that YouTube is sort of where I want to park myself next year, although I will still be doing the other things. But I do want to develop more of a life here on YouTube, sharing more behind the scenes and more thought process type of stuff, kind of like this video, and connecting deeper. I don't know how else to describe it actually, but it's more community. It's more community based instead of just chasing numbers. Instagram is still my strongest community, and I love Instagram for that. It's where I spend the majority of my time, and I really love the DMs and, you know, chatting with people behind the scenes. I feel like the people that really follow me are in my stories and in the DMs, and then those people are not necessarily the ones that support me in the Reels section or like any of the content that I create. And so I feel like there's a huge disconnect there. So I'm hoping that I can do a little bit more of the aspect that I love of Instagram, which is like the stories, the behind the scenes, over here on YouTube, and for it to just be a little less superficial than it is over there. So this next section is actually kind of like more action, more goals. So the first category of goals that I usually do is environmental goals. For me, my environment really does impact me. For example, if it's a freaking mess, I can't. And it also changes because sometimes when it's a mess, I'm fine. But overall, there is a certain aesthetic and cleanliness that I do like from my environment. I think a really good place to start is by just detoxing and decluttering your environment. So the places that I usually start is my refrigerator. There are always things that are super expired. There are things that you bought that you will never eat, and just throw everything away from your refrigerator and just start fresh. The expired stuff, I'm saying. So do that. Another place that I really love to declutter is like my phone. Sometimes there are apps on there that you will absolutely never use. Sometimes you need to organize like the photos in your phone, and also your computer. You can also declutter your email. So like anything digital, you want to declutter it as you start the new year, or at least like the monotonous act of doing those things is helpful for me to really think about what I want from the year. For whatever reason, like doing these things just helps my brains go. If you have any extra time, throw away makeup products and skincare products that are expired. Lastly, clean your makeup brushes. I'm so bad about cleaning my makeup brushes. Yeah, I also have like such great tools for cleaning the makeup brushes. Like I have the spinner thing. Anyways, maybe I will show you guys how I clean my makeup brushes in another video. Maybe like a makeup video, like how I do my makeup, which I'm like barely wearing any makeup right now, so maybe not a good advertisement for that video, but you know what I mean. So the last thing besides like cleanliness and decluttering that I like to do when it comes to my environment is change up anything that is an eyesore that sort of drives me crazy and irks me. So this table that I have right now, I just bought this during Black Friday. Preston completely ruined the other table we had, and we were just going to keep it for as long as we can because I was thinking I'm gonna have another baby, and that baby's gonna ruin the table again. So we might as well save money and just have really, really crappy, filthy furniture that is deteriorating. But during Black Friday, I kind of lost it. I was like, I cannot live with this furniture anymore. It has like welts in it, like the wood's horrible, the laminate's like coming off. That's what happens when you buy like really, really cheap furniture. So I bought myself this new table, new chairs. I bought us a new TV. This is not the new TV. The new TV is coming in a week. It's a humongous frame TV. So I was like, I want artwork there. I want my surroundings to be like home. And I spend a lot of time at home. I'm an introvert, so my surroundings at home are it's very, very important. Okay, the second category of goals is physical goals. What I usually do is I try to imagine how to physically change things about myself so that I can better represent who I want to be. For example, like this is a good example. If you're a dental student right now and you're about to graduate next year, you're probably envisioning a different you physically. Like this person dresses a little bit different, is a little bit more put together with the makeup, or I don't know what it is actually, but that person looks different than the person that was in school and showing up in like wrinkled scrubs to finals. It's a little different. So that's what I try to imagine myself as, but where I want to change is more so in the way that I talk. I don't think that there's anything wrong with the way that I talk, but I want to be able to speak with more clarity, to be able to accurately explain very clearly what I'm thinking in my mind. There's a big disconnect from what I'm thinking in my mind to what comes out of my mouth sometimes. And it's close, but it's not especially there. So I would love to do that. I also am really enjoying being able to speak more slowly. I actually speak this slowly in real life. And before I film my Instagram videos, I drink like a Celsius so that I can talk really, really, really fast, because that's how you keep people's attention. But again, I'm so sick of playing those games. I just want to be able to speak the way that I speak on camera and have that be the same exact thing. I also have changed the way that I speak in that I'm in my lower register of where I feel comfortable speaking. So this is actually how low my voice is. And it kind of reminds me of like Paris Hilton, because her voice is actually really low, but she talks like this because it's her persona. But I've always talked like, oh, hi, ha, 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 and like giggles, ha, ha. Every like pause, I'll like fill it with a giggle. I think it's because I've always just wanted people to like me and to be likable and to be seen as non-confrontational or easy to work with. And so I'm always smiling and I'm always giggling and I'm always doing these things. And if you look back at my oldest videos on Instagram where I'm explaining dental topics, my voice is so high. So I'm going to do a quick review of some of the products that I personally use at home to maintain my smile and my breath. But I feel like that's a crutch and it's not the real me. And so I've been working on being able to speak the way that I normally speak and not alter it so that I seem more likable than I actually am. And the way that I started doing this is because I take so many meetings for social media now. They're trying to sell me something, like their services, and I'm still trying to act like I'm likable, I'm easy to work with. Like I'm trying to sell them on the easiness of my personality. Like that does not make any sense. It's so hard because like you want to maintain the bubbliness in you, but you also want to be able to be taken seriously. And I did not get to where I am in life by being just like a dumb, bubbly, ditzy girl. I'm actually smart and I can have a conversation. It's just that I am so weird in front of other people. So I have started to change that about me and it's extremely liberating. So I don't know if anyone watching can relate to this, but the way that I speak, I want to cultivate more so that I can be more clear and I can be more myself. Right, so next category is finances. Now, I'm not in my finance era. There was an era where me and Byron were very into budgeting and that was really, really important to us. I still am naturally a saver. I really do budget. It's like not hard for me. Like I like saving money and I am always trying to save money so that we can be prepared for something that happens in the future, or if we have investments that we want to make, which is kind of like the era Byron's at, which is why I do the goal setting thing together, because if my goals are not to save money and his goals are to save money, we have to like know that about each other. But if you are in a money saving era, then my biggest advice to you, and this is what I would do with Byron, is get some sort of budgeting software. You have to track your money. if you're in your budgeting era. Like me and Byron, when we first got married, we had to track like every dollar. We did not have a lot of money. So we did track with something called Every Dollar. It's this app that Dave Ramsey made. Dave Ramsey? Yes, Dave Ramsey. And you track every expense. Like you'll drag your credit card expense report into the app, and then you'll be like, okay, Starbucks goes into this category. CE courses go into this category. Gas goes into this category. Rent goes into this category. And then at the end, just the physical process of doing that is so helpful, and it makes you more mindful about the way that you spend money. And it also gives you a good bird's eye view of how you spend your money, because some of the things that you spend money on actually are not that important. And are not contributing to your goals. Some of the things that you spend money on are hard because maybe it's like you need to spend the money to be able to hang out with that friend. But if you look at it in a spreadsheet form, it becomes a little bit more like black and white, where you realize, okay, well, I may not be able to hang out with this friend for a while, and you may have to have that difficult conversation with that friend saying, hey, I truly love being your friend. I can't hang out with you as much for the next couple of months because I'm really trying to save money for XYZ. And when I emerge from the saving mode, then I hope we can hang out again. And your true friends will understand and will stand by you. All right, so the next category is habits. Habits. What do you want to bring into 2024? What were good things that you did in 2023 that you do want to keep doing? I upped my sleep hygiene in 2023, mostly because I started listening to these podcasts from like Doc Amen talking about how your brain health is so important. And so brain health is really, really important to me. And that is why I invest so much into my sleeping. I mean, sleeping doesn't have to be quite as expensive as I make it. Sleeping can just be as simple as like you go to bed on time, like 9 o'clock, you don't bring your phone, and you sleep a good 8 hours every single day, no questions asked. Obviously, this is very difficult. If you just had a baby and you're in those like newborn phase trenches, then keep doing you. I was there not too long ago, and those days are not easy. But I actually took my sleep to the next level. I have an Oura ring. I track basically every single night, and I try to get better sleep every single night. I also recently invested in an 8 sleep, and I freaking love the 8 sleep. Maybe I should put the code down below, and you guys can use my referral code if you do want to buy it. It's expensive, it's pricey, but man, the temperature of the bed is so toasty and cozy and delicious that I love sleeping now. And I think sleep is just one of those very underrated things that doesn't have to cost a lot of money, although I am spending a lot of money on it. And if you can nail your sleep, like your life quality is just going to be so much more enhanced. So that's what I'm bringing into 2024. I think that's going to be one of my life things. Like I will never go back to not sleeping or sleeping late or compromising my sleep schedule. And I hope that it helps with my beauty sleep as well. All right, so within the habits goal, I also try to think about what are some things that I want to do next year that are kind of out of my comfort zone. Woo, this one is hard. It's funny because a lot of people look at what I do as being a content creator and filming myself on camera and putting myself out there. Like that is totally outside of their comfort zones and they don't know how I do it. What I really, really dread is I see all my mommy friends doing this, but they're all friends with each other. Mommy friends. I do not want to make mommy friends. I don't want to socialize with Preston's mommy friends. Like that just does not sound fun to me. I'm an introvert. I want to stay home. I don't want to say hi. I don't want to, spend time making conversation. I just want to pick up my child and go. But it sounds like as you get older, or not you, I mean, I'm getting older as well as Preston, but as Preston gets older, he's going to need to have play friends, and I'm going to have to play with the moms. And that is just so not my jam. I just want to drop him off and pick him up and be by myself. So now the last category that I look at is people. I think you got to look at the people and detox your people. So in 2023, Two, I think my big lesson was that you can't just trust everyone, and then if they're not really performing their duties, then you got to cut them off right away. I'm happy to say that this year I have not been burned by anybody. The people, my core team, like my manager, my PR, my all the people that work for me, they are amazing. They are so gifted at what they do. I love them. They let me be my best self. And so I love that. I want to have more of that. There's probably only one person on my entire team that I'm kind of like, let's see if you perform next year. Otherwise, I am going to cut you. I have my eye on them. But I'm not afraid to cut people anymore. And that's what's made my team even more special and amazing. Along those lines, I do want to continue working with companies that help me to give back. I think giving back is a really important part of where I want to go with this influencer thing. These days, my social media manager will actually negotiate into the contracts that we'll be able to do some sort of give back. Like this past year, I worked with gums and we were able to give back so much oral hygiene stuff for free to a women's shelter of my choice. And I chose a women's shelter that specifically is for pregnant women. And I don't know, those types of things like really speak to me. And to be able to have like the power to negotiate something like that in a contract, I think is just really cool. So that was my first one that I did successfully, and I want to keep being able to do stuff like that. I was telling my manager that at some point, I think it'd be really cool if I could have like a sponsor, no, what do you call it? Not a sponsorship. Is it a sponsorship? A scholarship. A scholarship or something for younger people who are going to dental school. You know, dental school is getting so expensive. It's ridiculous. I do have bigger visions for what I am capable of doing, and I want to be able to use my powers for good. So that's pretty much the whole process. It's very long, and if you're still watching this, you're a real one. But final thoughts are, I always like to ask myself this as somebody who is so ambitious and career driven, is what would I do if money was not an issue? Do you guys ever think about that? Like, I happen to have so much fun doing content creation, and I love actually doing smile makeovers and stuff. And I think to myself, wow, I would still be doing this even if I didn't need money. And when you really think about it, it's like, is it? So the other day I was thinking, if I won the lottery, would I still be practicing dentistry? I think my answer is actually no. I think that I would give up dentistry if I won the lottery. And I think that's my first time ever saying that on camera. It's just that it's very physically demanding and a very stressful job. And I happen to be really good at it, and I feel very fulfilled doing it, but it's a lot. It's a lot, you have to understand. Then with the content creation business, would I still be doing it if I won the lottery? I think for now, yes, because it still excites me a lot, but I definitely wouldn't be posting stuff that I'm posting. I would be posting more stuff like this, where it's more like just face to camera, we're just talking. It's not edited, it's not like, you know, lots of music and things flying in and out. It's more like real time. That's what I would be doing. And so I want to leave on that thought with you guys, is what would you guys be doing if money were not an object? Is it what you are doing right now, or would you change what you are doing right now if money were not an object?